Hi everybody, Jason Smith here. Thank you for joining me for this episode of The Truth About Social Ads. I'm an agency owner specializing in Facebook and Instagram ads, and I have dedicated my professional life to helping you learn what others won't tell you about Facebook ads. You know, I believe there's so much information that no one is sharing about Facebook ads and how you can fail and win running ads for your business and when it's time to hire an agency. That's why I'm here bringing ideas and information that can help you run successful Facebook and Instagram ads. Hey everybody, hope you're doing well. This is Jason and Eric recording another podcast episode. This is episode 17 and pumped to talk about today's episode. It's about, are mastermind groups important for your business?
Yes.
Yeah, excited to chat about it. Eric, what do you think?
I'm excited to talk about this one. And we're also going to talk about a little bit of mastermind etiquette and,
Yes.
connecting with people and all that good stuff. So Why don't you start it off, Jason? And the reason I think Jason, his story is very interesting because he came into the digital marketing industry as an industry outsider. Not that he'd never done any marketing before, but to rise at the level of agency that, we have from being an industry outsider, a mastermind was a big part of that. So Jason, why don't you start it off and talk about how that's been and the value that you've gotten from it coming into the paid advertising space?
Yeah, for sure. So, and we wanted to do this episode because this was a foreign concept to me, masterminds, right? Like I'm like the furthest person away from where I came from as a policeman in Los Angeles to even think about asking for help, right? Because essentially you're in a mastermind group because you need help and you want to collaborate with other business owners, other agency owners in our case, and essentially like pick their brain with stuff. And for me, that was pretty tough. I was like, man, I'm not going to ask for help. I'm doing this thing on my own, So really it was tough because in the police department, you don't do any personal development. You don't read books. You don't yes, you ask for help, but indirectly it's like, hey, I need a backup. I'm chasing some dude with a gun and I need some other officers here to help me out. But in a mastermind group, you got to be open and honest. And I didn't know how important it was for my business until I, started the agency and started talking with other agency owners. And all I heard was, hey, in my mastermind. And I'm like, man, what the hell are these mastermind things? It took me a while to catch on, but then I quickly realized that every successful agency owner was a part of a mastermind or like a private coaching group or something like that made them better, them better as agency owners and to collaborate. And not only that, but just to talk about the wins and the losses you have as an agency owners, the frustrations and the great times. And also just to know that you're not the only person going through some of these things because, man, it's tough sometimes, being an agency owner and on just the agency day-to-day life sometimes can be a little crazy, but I wouldn't change it for the world. And I'm glad I joined the mastermind that I did. And we'll get into some mastermind stuff right now and why it's good for business and why it's good for just you personally and things like that. And the relationships you build and the relationships you can ruin as well in masterminds. So we'll get into that right now. So hopefully that, Eric, I don't know, hopefully that kind of gives a brief overview of what a mastermind is. So.
Yeah. And, one thing I like to point out is that really masterminds are the new form of corporate training. That's really kind of what masterminds are. In the 80s and 90s, you saw, these traveling corporate trainers, consultants that would go around to different businesses. And now that everything's virtual and digital marketing is a huge thing, Masterminds are the way that people share information with each other who are very successful. And the difference now is that, sometimes you're in a mastermind and the people that are teaching you or in the mastermind with you, instead of wearing suits and ties, and they may be wearing suits and ties, but in a lot of them, they're wearing t-shirts and they're tatted up, or, they're like me, they're wearing a beanie and that's, how the business world works now. That it just is. It's a different time. And, I remember telling my dad at one point, like, yeah, business owners wear beanies now. And he just couldn't comprehend it. He was like, no, they don't. And I'm like, yes, they do. I know they do.
That's funny.
Well, that's not true in every industry, but, especially in digital marketing, it is.
Yeah.
It
well,
really
and
is.
The other reason for masterminds too, and the reason why we're doing it like this, is almost like podcasts. It's all virtual now.
Yeah.
You don't have we don't have a brick and mortar location where Spotlight Social, shows up to the office, and, our office is in our house or our condo or wherever we're working from, that's the cool thing about it. We have people in Portugal and Australia that work for us, and all over. It's crazy,
which is such a cool advantage when you think about it. Like before, when you had to get someone in the office most of the time, it's like we can hire like our copywriter and graphic designer. They're so amazing, Hugo and Nuno, and they're in Portugal. They're amazing. We're so lucky to have found them.
Yep, absolutely.
But they're across the ocean. So
yep, sure are.
All right, so let's talk about what makes a mastermind a good mastermind and what can be a bad mastermind. And there are good and bad masterminds. And one thing that I kind of my rule of thumb is I look at it, and of course I go, okay, how successful is the person? What's the knowledge, value, and skills of the person? The reputation of the person that's running the mastermind. We're going to tell you about our masterminds today specifically, and recommend a couple that we really love. But the main thing I'm always trying to avoid, and kind of the thing that drives me nuts, is when people go, oh, I can start a course and get rich. Or I could, create a mastermind and get rich. And I don't like that, because we want people who have knowledge, value, skills, and, can share that within the mastermind. So any mastermind that's designed, and you can always pretty much tell just because masterminds are cool and they want to make money, I try to avoid those ones and focus on the corporate trainers or the people who have done something. One of the masterminds that Jason's in, and now I'm in a subset of that mastermind in the ops part, is Jason Swank. Very successful guy, built and sold a very successful agency. Love learning from him. Amazing mastermind. So that's an example of a good mastermind to be in. And what other things do you look for, Jason, when you're looking for groups that you join, or masterminds or training?
Well, I also look for the main question I asked Jason was who's in the mastermind? Is it a bunch of tiny little agencies that I'm not going to learn from, or is it agencies that have teams of 40 to 100 people working for them that are making millions and millions of dollars? Because those are the guys I want to learn from. I don't want to learn from the guys who are in my position, because I'm not going to learn, and I'm not going to get anything out of that. So that's super, super important. I mean, and you can tell, by the number of members. Also, what Jason Swank does is he's like, there's tons of people that want to join my mastermind that I turn away all the time. And actually, to piggyback on that really quickly, I tried to join Jason's mastermind a few years ago, and he denied me because I wasn't up to the level that he, of the level of agency that he wanted to take inside the mastermind. So that was also kind of a driver behind me get really going, so I could join the mastermind. So it's kind of interesting.
I actually didn't know that he turned you down before.
Yeah, he did. Mm-hmm. Yep. Well, it's kind of embarrassing.
Yeah, no, I know.
It's like, hey, let me apply for this mastermind. Oh, hey, by the way, we don't want you because, you're not big enough yet, or you're not generating enough revenue or whatever. I'm like, damn, man.
Yeah.
And the other thing too is what I look at as well is, like you have to pay for these masterminds. They're not free, but I mean, and you know this, Eric, I mean, the value that we get from Jason's mastermind is well above what we pay every month to be a part of that group.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah. So,
and it's actually like, I worked in corporate America for 5 years, and I went to corporate trainers, and they made fun of me because I was a skateboarder, which it's funny how much things have changed. But I went through a corporate training. They paid so much money for that. It was like $100,000, and it was like 3 days and the whole company. And masterminds sound expensive, but when you start talking about like, and I'm not quoting any prices here, but when you start talking about $6,000, $10,000, even like 20, 30, that's not that expensive compared to what corporate training used to be. And now don't get me wrong, corporate training's still around, but I would consider masterminds a different, like a subset or a different type of corporate training.
Yeah. But if let's say you're paying $10,000 a month for a mastermind, and if you triple your revenue because of that mastermind and the things you're learning in there and the people sharing the information with you and all that, dude, that's totally worth it. Yep.
And one way that Jason mentioned before the show, as we were talking about it, to really look for a good mastermind is go with masterminds that are recommended.
That's what I did.
Yeah.
Talk to other agency owners, and they're like, hey, this one guy's super good. You should just try to join his mastermind, and that's what I did. And because Jason Swank came highly recommended, so that's why we ended up joining his mastermind. So I'm so glad I did.
Yeah. And then, so that's one mastermind. We'll get into another mastermind that we're in a minute. That one covers agency and growth, which of course, as an agency, we want to grow. And then there's different parts of the business that we want to be sharp and good and train on. But first, let's talk about, I want to talk about how to make the most of masterminds. But I also, before we do that, want to talk about being careful when you get into a mastermind with working with people. It's always tempting, right? It's always tempting. You get in and you want to work with everyone. But my 2 cents, and I'm going to let Jason talk about this one because he's been in more masterminds than me and bigger masterminds than me, is if you're going to work with someone in your mastermind, it's like dating your neighbor, right? You got to be really careful because it's going to be a crappy breakup, right?
Yep.
So just be really careful when you get, if whoever's listening, if you haven't been in a mastermind and you join, be really cautious with who you work with inside the mastermind, because the fallout can suck, because you have to go back in, you have to see each other. And then, of course, people are talking personally, luckily, we have a good reputation, but we're also the type of agency that fires people. We fire people all the time. We fire our clients if we don't like working with them. And we're lucky to be in that position. But when you do that to someone in your mastermind, it sucks,
Yeah, for sure. And I'll just kind of talk about this for a minute because, I didn't join the mastermind wanting to like work with the guys in there. Like I didn't join it thinking, oh man, I'm going to get all these clients. So if you're joining a mastermind with that mindset, do not join a mastermind, because you won't get anything out of it, because you'll be so tunnel visioned on trying to work with these people in the mastermind, because they're way more advanced than you, and they're really high level agencies. You really have to like not go in there with that mindset. Your mindset should be, okay, I'm joining this mastermind to grow my business and to learn from these other entrepreneurs. And that's why you should do it. I did not go in there, wanting to work with somebody. Now, have I been approached in the mastermind? Yeah, absolutely. Have we taken on a couple clients? Yep, we have, and some of them have worked out, some of them haven't. But really what I preference before we get into this relationship, because it's almost like a relationship, especially when you know each other from the mastermind, is, hey, no matter what happens, like, there may be you may not agree with everything that we're doing, or let's say you don't think we're doing a good job, or let's say we didn't want to work with you. Our feelings aren't going to get hurt if you fire me or I fire you, and that's easier said than done. So my advice is actually don't take on anybody in your mastermind, especially if there's like live events and you guys attend. Like with Jason Swanks, there's twice a year we go to his house actually in Colorado, and we have this awesome agency experience, and you just kind of bond. And there's something about being together in a room with a bunch of entrepreneurs and learning from each other. More me learning from them because I'm one of the smaller ones in there. But it's tough to see that other person when you're like, oh man, that guy was a crappy person to work with. Like I fired him because it just wasn't working, or vice versa. Like, oh, there's Jason, what an idiot because he didn't run my ads right. Or the way that he thought I should run his ads, or whatever. So it's a tough pill to swallow when you have to either fire somebody or you get fired, and you still have to deal with them in the mastermind. So just be cognizant of that. Build good relationships, solid relationships in there. Help people out in your mastermind if they need help. I've helped a lot of people out and done things for people in the mastermind that, it's just, that's what you do for each other, right? It's like helping out a buddy or a friend. And, you can talk about your struggles. You can, in a mastermind, you can develop better systems. And, the guys in my mastermind, like, hey, if I need a refresh contract on, hey, I need some new agreements for clients. These guys would literally they'll send it to you, or me, and anything I ask for, Jason will give it to me. If he doesn't have it, he'll find somebody in the group that has it. And that's the cool thing about masterminds is you can go to this group of people, rely on them for information that no one else necessarily has because they're doing it bigger and better than you are. And that's the cool thing about it. And it really is, it's just an awesome feeling to have that support, knowing that someone else has been there, what we're going through now, and you can ask for help and they could totally give it to you no matter what it is.
Yeah. And it's crazy how like one tool can solve such a big problem.
Yeah.
Whether it's an HR tool or whether it's, a hiring tool or whatever it is. And you just throw it out in the mastermind and goes, oh, someone says, oh, I did this. And you go, that is amazing. Okay, I'm doing that, right?
Yeah, or hey, I need a VA. Do you guys have any recommendations? Yep, here you go. There's 20 recommendations.
Absolutely.
Right? Of VAs or personal assistants, or hey, where do you guys hire this? Or, how much do you pay your VP of operations? Things like that. Like those guys have done it. They're doing it right now. And that's what's cool about it.
Yeah. And then a couple
shout out to Jason Swank's group. They're awesome.
Yeah. And then I'm in the subset of the ops part of the mastermind, which is great too, because now I'm talking to, and this is really cool. I'm now talking to a bunch of other ops guys and girls. So, that's something really cool about Jason Swank's mastermind is now I'm saying, what do you guys do for this? Do you do advanced spreadsheets? Do you have, software for this? And that's really cool to be surrounded by, to be surrounded by other ops people, a lot of which are, a lot bigger than our agency, which is great and helpful because they've been where we are. Not that we're small, but there's a lot bigger agencies out there than us. So it's good to get, advice and tools and systems. One other thing I recommend is talk to the moderator. The moderator knows the people within the mastermind and can guide you to the right direction. Sometimes it's intimidating to ask questions in a group of, 15 people when you don't want to sound dumb. So, you can offline it and talk to the moderator. Another thing that I look for, and let's talk about our e-commerce Shopify. It's not Shopify, but our e-commerce mastermind, which we're also in another mastermind called Build, Grow, Scale by Tanner Larson. And there's two things I want to talk about within this mastermind. First of all, talk about a credible dude, someone who knows what he's talking about, has a full support team within his mastermind. Great mastermind. So a couple things to point out. Number one, the tools in the mastermind are so good. They're so good,
dude. So good.
And it's just like a candy store for us. Anytime, we've become knowledgeable personally. We have our Shopify experts. We have people who build really good sites. But just being in that mastermind, so the first part is the tools and the resource library. It's not just recordings. It's, Shopify templates and, case studies. And it's just this extensive library. So look for the tools. And then the next part is they do audits, and we're able to bring a store that we have for a client. Maybe, we want to up the conversion rate. So they have three Shopify, they have a panel, right? And we bring the site in there and we do audits. And our clients can't believe when we say, oh, let's do an audit on your site, because they may have an in-house site guy. Boom. We bring the site, we put it through the audit. We are very upfront telling them that, hey, you're going to get some very blunt feedback. Are you open for it? They say yes.
Yeah.
And they are very, very helpful. I'm talking every time we get off one of those audits, it's like 30 changes to the website that we thought was good.
Yep.
So those are the two masterminds that we're in that we, there may be more, but those are the two main ones that we're in that we love. And again, credible person, both of those people, Tanner Larson, Jason Swink, they're both at a level that we aspire to.
Yep.
Their tools and systems are great. The community's awesome. We can communicate with them. Those are good masterminds. So my take on this one, be careful who you work with within a mastermind. Find the right mastermind and really take a good look at what the owner of the mastermind's done, and then what tools and events do they have within the mastermind.
Yep. Awesome. Love it.
And that's pretty much my sum up right there. Jason, anything else to add? And I say we keep it, I think that's really what I would say about masterminds.
Yeah, for sure. And the only other thing I'll say about the Build, Grow, Scale Mastermind is I was really surprised to find out that we're like one of the only 8 like Facebook agencies inside of this group, because I would think that other agency owners would want to just kill the Shopify side of things. And man, we're like, we're killing it for clients, because we have this resource to pull from and say, hey, you know what, we're gonna get a site audit, we'll get it done. And we're not doing the audit, their team is, and you get on a call with them and they're just like, nope, you need to do this, and this. Every time we've done that, we've improved conversions on sites, and our clients are just amazed. And it makes it to where our clients have to be a little more sticky with us, right? Like those sticky services that you offer. We paid a lot of money to be in that mastermind, and it's so worth it, because we can translate what we're paying and all the information into success for clients. And really that's what it's all about. So, we love that group is freaking awesome. So shout out to Tanner Larson and Christina. They're awesome. We'll have to tag them when we post this and send it out to everybody. So they can have a cool testimony of their masterminds. But we're not getting paid to do that. We're not getting them. Like, we're doing it because we love both of these masterminds, and we love working with everybody in the groups.
Yeah.
So
genuinely
awesome.
All right, cool. So those are good masterminds there. That's all I have, Jason. So I think that's a good one. We love our masterminds that we're in. Yep,
we do. All right. Well, have a good one, and hopefully this helped, and stay tuned for some really cool episodes coming up. We got Google versus Facebook wars coming up here in the next couple episodes. We have a client coming on that we grew his business from literally zero to spending about $300K a month on Facebook. Totally transformed his business and his life pretty much, which is awesome. And so look out for those episodes, and we'll talk soon.
Catch you later.
Bye. Hey, thanks so much for listening to The Truth About Social Ads. I really hope you enjoyed the episode. Please visit our website at truthaboutsocialads.com for show notes and additional episodes. And if you have time, please subscribe to the podcast, and please consider rating and reviewing the show if you enjoyed it. That will help other people find us. By the way, I would love to hear from you. Please send me an email at jason@spotlightsocialllc.com with your feedback, questions, or a topic you'd like me to talk about on the show. If you send me a question, maybe I'll read it on the show. See you later. Bye.